Okay. Hi. Um, for anybody who's watching or who has watched some of my other things, you can see I've cut my hair. It wasn't anything special. I cut my hair every once in a while. But moving on, if you've seen the title of the video, today I'm going to talk about Madoka Magica. Now, I watched Madoka Magica about, I guess, a month ago. Maybe it's been like 2 months. Um, and I didn't like it. I didn't, and I want to talk about why, because Madoka Magica is one of the, it's been out for a while now. Like it's not super old, right? But it's been out for years, and in that time, that whole time, I was an anime fan, and I'd heard about it, and and it was talked about, raved about. It has all these fans, and I'd seen some art, and I never felt like anything that I heard or anything that I read or anything that I saw made me think like, oh yeah, that's definitely gonna be on my list. I'm gonna watch that. You know, I just heard about it so often, and then like 2 months ago, I was at home. I had time. Netflix was there. Madoka Magica was staring me in the face. Um, and I was like, you know what? Sure, I've heard all of these topics, all I read all these comics, all these forums, all these articles, you know, without like the spoilers. I have heard so much about it. I have the time. I'm here. It's here. Let's do this, right? And I just it it never it never it just didn't. Um I I started it and just everything about it, first of all, even though I obviously I knew going into it, it was subverted version of magical girls, and just like tonally, like first episode, like as soon as it starts, everything, the way the colors are, like the way the characters are drawn, the music, the lighting, the shadowing, everything about it told me bad things were gonna happen. And I want to preface this by saying like, oh, it wasn't that it was too edgy. It wasn't that like I'm upset because it wasn't like, a magical girl thing. Like I was prepared for it. Um I don't get a single piece of the hype. Just I feel like every single thing that I ever heard about Madoka Magica was honestly just like past an exaggeration, just lies. Lies. I was like, how could so many people have lied to me? Like I after I watched it, and my like reaction was, not really what I expected. I thought to myself, like, it's been out for a while. If I had watched it when it like, what time did, when did it really come out? Hold on, let me. Okay, so I checked, and Madoka Magica, yeah, it came out 2013. I was like 18, 19 then. So, like, I thought back to like if I had seen it when I was a teenager, because there were a lot of the themes of like youth, right? Um, Specifically the female youth, so, and that's gonna come back up, right? But I thought to myself, like, is this maybe something that like maybe if I had watched it sooner, um, I just realized I said 2013. It was like 2011. Anyway, but if I had watched it sooner, I thought like, would I have liked this? Would I have liked this like back in like high school? And I don't think I would have. Okay. So first off, the first thing, like I specifically, like I read comments, and stuff, and I heard from here and there, like, oh man, like it was just, I just thought it was gonna be this cute little da 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 da, but then, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, like that's how people would always like talk to me about it, like, the characters are just, and you're just gonna love it, and that's just all I heard, and then upon watching it, my first thing is, the main character is not anywhere near as appealing as I thought she would be, which is just central. It's central. That's the central thing about a like magical girl show. Your main girl has to be a main girl, you know? Like, and Madoka wasn't giving me main girl vibes. I was like, okay, well, you know, time, right? Um, and then you meet her friends, and it's the first episode, nothing's happening, but like there's many an anime where like something starts off and you're like, it's not that good, right? Um, they introduced Homura, and I was like, okay, okay, okay. This is when things start happening, and then things happen, and once things started happening, I couldn't. I You know what it is, like as soon as things started happening, Madoka didn't do a single thing that I thought was rational, not even like rational behavior, just normal behavior, because sometimes the normal thing to do may not be rational. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes people do things, a lot of people do things, and it's not like it's not the thing you should do, right? But like I felt like everything that Madoka did was just nonsense. It was nonsense, and she was going along with it for no reason, just no reason, right? But um, and then she was here. She was hearing these voices, and she was following the voices she was hearing that no one else was hearing. It's like, okay, why? Why would you do that, right? Then, okay, and then this was what security for me. So you get the scene where it's Miki and Homura and the QB and Madoka, right? And they take the QB aside, and I just like from I don't know what anybody whoever watched it. I don't know how anybody besides like an actual like child could see the QB and think that's an innocent, cute little animal. Like on sight, I was like, that thing's suspicious. That thing's weird. That's not like it's not like it was a talking cat, like where because like if it was something like that, if it looked like a regular domesticated house animal, your typical pet, and it did something out of the ordinary, I could see why somebody might react a certain way, even, though things aren't making sense. That thing was an alien. It's an alien. You why would you? So I like why I don't understand. Like for me, can't speak for others, but for me, if I'm hearing voices in my head and they lead me to a fight between a girl and an alien animal, the girl wins. I choose her side. She says the alien thing has to die. It dies. That's it. It's too bad, so sad. I it I certainly wouldn't put myself between said alien animal and girl with weapon. Um and from then on everything was just very downhill to me. Um and like I just felt like it was just bad decision, poor decision, horrible decision. What are you doing the whole time? Like, but you know what? I was like, okay, like sometimes you have to like suspend your disbelief, right? Like that's what you do when you watch fictional media, to a certain level, you have to suspend your disbelief. So I'm like, okay, okay, let's keep going. Because sure, they want to believe the thing that on site that's an alien animal. It's probably here to eat your brains, but like, go off. I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. But then they meet it and this other girl, what's her name? Mommy. And they're like, oh, why don't you come around with us while we're fighting and you can find out what it's like to be a magical girl. And they do that for a few days. They never met this girl before. I thought that she acted weird, but I was like, okay, whatever, fine. Right? And, you know, eventually they watch this girl just die right in front of them. I was like, okay, if nothing else, this should be the point where you're like, nope, I'm done. I am done. We are out. We go home. We are not being magical girls. Like, if if Miki had been the person who was our main character, I would I maybe I could have understood, because Miki had like this wish, that she wanted. She had this thing that she wanted that was really the only thing holding her back. She was like, but if I do it, I can do this. Like, she knew the ramifications, but in the back of her mind, she was like, the whole time. So I understood that. But once it came out that once they saw it with their own eyes, like, this is death. This is death as a magical girl. Like, this is the chance that you have something like this happening. It would have been no contest. Bye. I wouldn't have seen her smell to QB. QB could scream into my mind and be like, y'all hear something? I meanwhile Madoka's like, oh, she's never like, no. She's never fully like, no. She's just like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I don't think I'm gonna do. No, I'm scared. I don't really have a wish. Um, and I hated that the whole like it was the type of situation where they had enough information where any regular person, and I guess that's the thing, any regular person would not have done what Madoka did. And the thing is, they kind of like tried to drive home the point that Madoka is such a regular average girl, but she does have that, magical girl potential, and she just has it for whatever reason. But she's a regular person with, regular, average, normal thought processes, right? Which is why she never became a magical girl until the end. But she's still hanging around. She's still watching things, and it's just, it was stupid. It was. And then there was Miki. I never really got into Miki. She was the fun friend, right next to her. And it was like, she didn't like do anything wrong. Or no, I take that back. No. She did. She was a lot. I just felt like she was too insistent, and far too attached to things. Like, she was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to do this for mommy. I'm gonna do this for mommy." She was like so sure that, like, what, Homura? She's like so sure that she's like some like evil, greedy, only out to stop the witches for the grief seed. And it was stupid. Like, even before, like, they really found out what the grief seeds were for, I, like, regardless, At least there's, to their information, to their knowledge, when you go, people getting grief seeds is good. They're stopping the witches, they get the grief seed. Okay, whatever. Um, okay, so then let her do her job. It, that's like, it's one of those things. It's like when someone's like, oh, have you ever seen someone say to a doctor, oh, you're only a doctor for the money? You should be the doctor because you care about people. And it's like, yeah, like that'd be really nice. And there's a lot of people who choose jobs like that because they're very caring. They want to help. They want to save people. But like, everybody who wants to save people can't be a doctor. They need other incentives. And money is a nice incentive. Rewards are nice incentives. So it was like, even if she is what you think she is, it's not a problem. So why are you like out here with this attitude? You know what I mean? And then, like, coming back to her, like Miki, she had that wish, right? She had that wish that she wanted, and she wanted to save this boy. And like, I get it. Like, he was heartbroken. She's like 14, but like, even then, like, it's a scale, right? It's a scale, and on one side of the scale, we have constant threat to your life. On the other side of the scale, we have perfectly fine living boy will not have the ability to play his instrument and therefore not go on to the career he wanted to have in adulthood. Now, this one is, sad. It is. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody, but equivalent to her death. I don't know. You tell me. Um, and just the whole thing. And it's just building up. It's all of these little things that keep on happening. And like, and then I feel like every twist that they had in here, um, either I saw it coming, or if I didn't see it coming, I simply did not like it. The QB being like, the show kind of teeters on like, well, evil, or I don't know, evil or psychopathic, or just without emotion and feelings for anybody and anything, therefore cannot understand. Either way, just so when they did the thing where when you find out that like their little magical heartstone thing, carries their soul, and that if it's separate from their body, like they basically die. Um, okay, so here's the thing. So before then, they had this scene, right, where they like gave QB the grief seed, and QB had talked about, kind of why they need them, and you saw them like clear the grief seed. Now, I don't, it became, I mean, it, they, it made sense to me. Like, I was like, this is food for this thing. And I was like, this thing is giving powers to these girls. And they have to go do this thing to get it. But the thing that they have to do to get it makes their little heartstones black, and they use the thing that made it black to make it clear again, and then they give it to him. I was like, this is a cycle that, if it's food, has to continue. So it it just automatically, when once I knew that, I was just like, okay, somehow it is responsible. Like, somehow they are doing this on purpose. Somehow there is a correlation between these things, right? Like, that's just. So when they found out and they were like, it was like, well, I mean, like, it made sense, but why are you surprised? Like, I don't, I don't, like, and I get it. Like, this is the one thing I do feel like, okay, I should let it go. Like, they are, like, 14, 15, 13-year olds, right? So, like, I understand that they may have not had the foresight to think about those connections. However, it was there. I saw it. And yeah, after that point, though, I didn't understand why they kept talking to QB. It didn't make sense to me. Like, but Madoka went on back, and there was a huge lack of logic in terms of, like, what led to the next thing. I didn't feel like it was a really cohesive plot. Um, what else? Okay, I felt too like I didn't like the cast overall. I guess I like Homura, right? But at the same time, I felt like I felt like she could have done better. Like, and that was the one thing. If there's one thing I feel really bad at, it's the fact that she alone, everybody else, I I honestly didn't care about anybody but Homura by the end, and I found myself confused and perplexed as to how she had all of the time that she did, and she ended up with the plan that she had. Like, for me, I was thinking, so you went through this, like, she went through this a good amount of times. I'm like, so why were you being vague? You know, like, there just didn't need to be a reason for it. She got, like, she was at the school. Madoka hadn't made contact yet. I don't understand why, when she went through the trouble of separating her, she didn't just lay out the facts. Because the thing is, because she had time traveled, she knew information that only she could have known through time travel, right? Like, stuff that she couldn't have reasonably found out, you know, unless there was something there. And then, but even if Madoka had been like, oh, you're crazy, if after that she had seen the QB or started hearing voices, she would have went, oh, she was telling the truth. Da 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 da. You know. Um. So then you get to your end, and two things really, two things with this ending. One, um, it does not matter what there is in real, like, Madoka and Homura and Mami and Miki and Sakura, all of them, you know, how should I say this? They're teenagers. They um they might be one to make an irrational, last minute dangerous decision. I can believe that much. You don't have to do any suspension of disbelief there. Madoka, during a national disaster where they have been forced to evacuate the home, been told to stay in a shelter when the winds and the lands and the rain and the tides are all coming together and moving and thrashing. And she goes to her mom and she goes, I'm gonna go out there because my friend needs me. No, there's no way, no how any loving, caring mother um, would let that happen. Um, Second thing, um, and I think this is like the biggest thing for me, because sometimes there's something that you watch and you watch it the whole way through, um, and it's the ending that like ties things together, like gets you. You're like, oh, okay, like I get it, boom. This wasn't one of those things. To me, and this is again preference, right? After everything that happened, you know what I was expecting and what I wanted? A tragic ending. Like for me, if this show had ended, it had ended with, you know, the world's end as if it were like an inevitable thing, just unavoidable, I think I could have lived with it. I do. I think I could. I think it would have. And I would still have my other problems, but I think at least like on a scale of 1 to 10, it would have brought things up a point, like a full point. But it was, to me, it was very much so a DS Machina of events type of thing at the end, and it just got on my nerves. It really did. I felt, because I felt like with the way that things happened, they were trying to make it like, well, this is why no matter what, Madoka always had to be, like, always had to come back to be a magical girl. It's what she's meant to do. It's her, it's, it's what fate wants for her. No, no, it just, I didn't like it. Um, so now just to go over some characters, because I know I didn't go through all of them as much as I should have. Um, Humura Akemi, I liked her. I liked her outfit. Wish she had been a little less vague. Cool, cool weapons. Cool, nice, nice how she did things. Um, Madoka, I see none of the hype whatsoever. Also, I just heard from so many people that like, oh my gosh, her outfit's so cute, and it wasn't. Like, I mean, like I'm not saying it was like ugly or anything, but like as far as like magical girls go, it just wasn't. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like that outfit. It honestly, it looks a lot to me like hold on. It looks a lot to me like a particular um card captor Sakura dress, but if it were like low budget, and I have no editing skill, so just for look for like card captor Sakura in one of her pink dresses, and I feel like that's what hers looks like, but worse. So, and the card captor Sakura one's kind of cute. Um, so there's that. Also, her family was weird. Um, her house was weird. Like, there's one thing I don't know. You know, art. You know, the things that you see in things like this, they're supposed to like mean something, right? But they didn't take the time to explain what these things mean. So like, she was living in this really big, really specifically designed house. It looked um, very lonely, very big, very unlived in. And her mom's bed was surrounded by these chairs. I didn't get that. They never explained it. It was really specific. Um, and to be honest, her mom was also like, her mom had these moments, and it was like, I felt that was a little, they were like verging on creepy. Um, Never got into her. Uh, None of the attributes that even the characters in the show attribute to her ever show up in really her main timeline, and that was weird to me. I just feel like they could have done something to make her seem like a more active protagonist, but also like just more enjoyable. Again, my preference. Mickey didn't like her ever at all. Um, there's not much to say there. They also didn't give her a lot to work with, so like on that note, I guess, right? But I don't know. They didn't like just the way she reacted to things, like without any type of like thought discussion. She was also, I feel like, just kind of a bad friend. So moving on, QB looks suspicious, very alien-like. I don't know why anybody would trust it ever. Um, Cute. Mm, here's the. I could see how the QB is cute. Like, I'm not gonna say it's ugly or anything. I it just doesn't, like, it's not like that looks like a rabbit. It's not like that looks like a cat. It doesn't. Animals don't look like that. Like, they don't. No one would see that and be like if you saw it like running away from you and that's all you saw of it, sure. But if you just saw it, like, if it was just sitting in front of you, laying in front of you, like looking at you, or you see it on the floor and you're just staring at it, like, come on, that's come on. So like, if they had given it a little bit more of like a, you know unique design, but like a definite animal, you know what I mean? Or something else that would explain someone's reaction to it. Um, I'll come back to that. What's her name? Sakura. Um, I said I didn't like anybody. She was okay. I feel like she made sense. Up until the up until she died, like or her events leading to her death. I just didn't feel. See, this show did a thing where there needed to be connections where there weren't, like, emotional connections, where there really weren't any, but they wanted me to believe that based off of these connections that shouldn't be there, they were making these decisions, or they were making these choices, or they were upset about something. And I just didn't think that made sense, and I still don't. Um, so the next thing I just want to talk about is how, a lot of people have told me, or they focused on the fact that this is a subversion of the magical girl, usual style. And I mean, I guess, like, okay, here's the thing. For me, when I hear subversion, I hear that you're taking something and you're flipping it on its head while keeping those really important core elements. And I don't feel like they did the core elements justice. Um, let's start off with the animal companion, right? QB. This is me coming back to it. Um, let's compare to like Luna and Artemis from Sailor Moon, okay? Luna and Artemis, they're cats, and they have a symbol on their head, and that's it. Someone might be like, "Wow, your cat has what looks, your cat has a thing right here." Like, "Oh my gosh, it looks like a moon," whatever, right? But it's believable, to an extent. Like, it's like, okay, I could see that. It's a black cat. It's got a little birthmark right here, shaped like a moon. Haha. It's cute, right? Um, two, even like in Cardcaptor Sakura, right? Um, her animal companion isn't really a regular animal type of thing, right? If anything, it could be mistaken for a stuffed animal of sorts, right? That's kind of how they do it in the show. Like whenever it needs it's like, oh, this is a toy that she has, you know, an animal, a stuffed animal, something like that, right? But the QB is one like invisible to others most of the time. Apparently, like that people can't see it, um, unless like it wants to be seen, something like that. I think that was the thing that they were going for. Um, so like I get that like it does not like it needs um a different appearance, but it is seen, and it, in universe it says like it has like other bodies, they're like copies of the same one, right? Like why wouldn't it just make a more appealing shell? Because clear, like it knows it needs to appeal to people. Why wouldn't that be one of the ways that it does things? You don't think looking like a really cute cat or a dog or like an outright rabbit, something like that, you don't think that would be like helpful? Um, so I, on that level, it's just not like it's not me. It's not matching up. It's not being. Obviously, it wasn't helpful, right? Um, but it like QB itself was also very vague at times, and I don't understand why you'd follow the lead of something while it's giving you like half information again and again and again. Um, then um, friendship is a very big thing in magical girl shows, and I don't feel like one they really I don't think they really brought out the element of friendship. That level of the connections weren't there. um and I think it also hurts the show a little bit that they're not meant to form a team, right? Because to me, like I obviously like they're calling it magical girls, so they're still magical girls. But to me, the fact that they're working solo and they're using like out and out weapons. Um, they were coming across a lot more like vigilante superheroes type thing. Like that was the vibe that they were giving. They weren't really giving magical girl. Um, Most of the time, that's me. Um, what else? Just a lack of actual focus on life. Like everybody. So back to what I was saying in the beginning. So many things said to me. So many people. So many things that I read. So many forums, articles. There's articles out about Madoka Magica, right? And you know they're talking about how it's flipping, you know, that regular magical girl stuff on its head, and they're diving into, real life issues, and like it wasn't like the only like kind of like regular teen girl issue that they like dealt with was what's her name? I don't remember what their third friend's name is. I'm sorry. She didn't do anything wrong. Um, he told me. Yeah, he told me. Um, he told me went and told Miki like, hey, I have a crush on that guy that you have a crush on, who's also like your best friend, who you've been spending like all this time like going to his bedside and making sure he's okay. Um, but like she said, I'm gonna give you a chance to say you like him before I tell him I like him. Like, first of all, I do want to say it, like, that was a boss move. Absolutely. I don't think it ever would have went down like that in real life. But that was but that was like a regular teen issue, like you and your friend like the same guy. And, you know, how are you going to deal with it? Or do you think maybe you think you don't have as much of a chance as your friend does, right? Other than that, like everything else was just, a lot. It was just a lot. Like they were big issues. Like what's her name? Sakura. She was like, oh, well, I was following my dad, and my dad, um, I don't know, was trying to start a cult, and people turned against him, and then he found out what I did and killed himself. And just like they went to the extreme with everything, and I don't know, at that point I just feel like you're not subverting something. um I Because at some point I was like, you guys are just kind of trying to be like, make it things as harsh as possible, and for what? like like okay, so here's my thing. Her story could have just been that she was trying to help her dad, but in trying to help him, it led to him committing suicide. Still a heavy issue, right? Um, but like, do you see how it could be a little bit more grounded in reality? Um, so all in all, I would say, what would I rate this? Maybe a, I'm maybe a 5. I I found there's a huge disconnect from a lot of the characters because you just don't get to see them. Some of the characters, you never get to see them in a regular day-to-day kind of life. You never get to you never get to see them do something that would, like, to me, help form some attachment to them. um like I just didn't care. Like when Vicky died, I was like, I was like, it was a long time coming, to be honest. I was like, Mickey was been alive far longer than I thought she would. Um, and when what's her name? Mommy. When mommy died, I was like, okay, like she, shocking, but that's not the main issue. And like, she was not like I did think like, oh, she was in the OP, so I thought she would live longer, but she's dead now. Okay, why aren't you guys? Why aren't you guys getting into action? Why isn't this setting off alarms? Um. So art wise, like I feel like the art is very purposeful, but for the most part, I just wasn't the hugest fan of the style. The way things are drawn most of the time, the only thing that looked good was like characters like Akemi, like characters like Madoka. A lot of the time, she just had this like pointy hair. Um, Plot is definitely down there for me. Like, and I guess that's another thing too. Like the idea of a magical girl show that's a psychological, if that's what we want to call it, thriller of sorts. I could get into it. Like I think I could. I like, if we were doing a show, like, it's like think like when people do those like subversions of like superheroes, right? Like where superheroes have to deal with the consequences of like the fact that like you saved these people but you couldn't save these people, or you saved these people but you lost this. Like they never really, I don't feel like for most of the characters that's where they went. You know what I mean? Like it was very, in comparison to life and death, very petty stuff, but then it did come down to life and death decisions, like for like on like once they received their power, and it's like, okay, so these aren't equivalent. Like mommy, like you get her, background, right? And she was gonna die. Like it didn't matter. She was gonna die, right? So it's whatever. Like she was going to die. It was gonna be it for her. Um, but like the others, like there were nothing else was like close to death. And like because they didn't make their decisions to be magical girls before they knew that it was really a life or death situation, um, it just comes across as stupid. Like, if you don't know, like it, like, and I guess that's what it is. The big twist is supposed to be that, that big like reveal with the soul, right? And that basically the QB set them up. But it's like, okay, but you knew that you were probably gonna die back when mommy got, right? So why are we here? Why are we having this conversation? Um, so everything taken into accounting that I don't like the ending. I thought the beginning was boring. I didn't understand the thought process of a lot of the characters, couldn't connect to a lot of the characters. I think I can give it as low as a 4. I see how someone could like this. Yeah, sure, fine. Um, and if this is like your like favorite, like this is my anime, like go ahead, cause like I have shows I know like other people don't like. It's fine, but it just wasn't it for me. like the premise was there. I like the music direction, like the music that they had and when they were using it, the use of like tone that they were able to like build, um, was good, but it just wasn't it for me. Um, but that's all that I have to say. Come back next time for when I talk about a different show and see if I like it or not. Bye.